In any disaster, your livestock need protection too. In case of nuclear attack, radiation is as dangerous to animals as it is to people.
It's strange to think that the one creation that has the potential to take everything away was developed right here at home. In 1939, German scientists discovered the secrets of splitting the atom. Scientists Einstein and Szilard informed President Roosevelt of the dangers of atomic technology. They began research at Columbia University, University of Chicago, and UC Berkeley. An Italian scientist named Fermi led a group of scientists to produce the first nuclear chain reaction. After this success, funds were allocated more freely, and the project quickly advanced. Nuclear facilities were built in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and Hanford, Washington. $2 billion were allocated to the project, and 120,000 Americans worked in secrecy so the Japanese and Germans wouldn't find out, and there was no public awareness.
Summer 1945, Robert Oppenheimer, the scientific director of the Manhattan Project, conducted the first test of the nuclear bomb at 5:30 a.m. in Alamogordo, New Mexico. Nobody was prepared for the results.
The effects exceeded all expectations. Civilian homes 100 miles away had their windows blown out and destroyed from the shock wave. Over 200 miles away, there was a visible, blinding flash from the explosion. A mushroom cloud was formed that reached over 40,000 feet. And the sand underneath where the bomb was detonated was turned into glass. A cover story was put out to cover up this detonation because secrecy was very important at this time. And so they called it this big ammunitions dump, which was obviously fake and was obviously used to cover up. And soon the word had reached Truman that the bomb was successful.
We interviewed David Taylor, a World War II historian for the Americal Division Veterans Association. When asked what situation led to the need for the use of the atomic bomb, he said, "Just before the atomic bombs were dropped, the war was all but lost for the Japanese, yet they showed no sign of surrendering. Despite losing much of their navy, the islands in the Pacific, and ground bases on mainland China and French Indochina, there was still no sign the Japanese imperial government would try to surrender. Therefore, there was no choice but for the U.S. government to try to bring the Japanese to their knees to avoid an invasion of mainland Japan." When asked, "In your professional opinion, was the use of the atomic bomb necessary?" he said, "Absolutely yes. It is well documented the USA would have lost over 1 million casualties, wounded and dead, had they tried to invade Japan. And keep in mind, nothing short of unconditional surrender would have been tolerated at the time by the USA and the free world because of the Japanese sneak attack on Pearl Harbor. What is often lost in the discussion of whether to drop or not drop the nuclear bombs is that many Japanese after the war felt they would have lost tens of millions of their own countrymen to the deadly bombing and fighting had the USA invaded their homeland. This would have been a much greater loss than occurred at Hiroshima and Nagasaki."
So during a nuclear explosion, radioactive particles are launched into the sky, into the atmosphere, and even into the stratosphere. And these radioactive particles can rain down within an hour, a day, a week, a month, or a year. And it can fall down in the form of black rain, which kills what it touches slowly and painfully. The people that are near or in the vicinity of the explosion, but not close enough to get damaged by the blast or the shock wave itself, will slowly, painfully die of radiation sickness.
The use of the atomic bomb has had good and bad effects. After the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Soviet Union took notice of the catastrophic consequences of atomic weapons. This led to the Cold War and could have led to nuclear exchange between the US and the Soviet Union. Whether atomic weapons lead to a brighter or darker future one thing can be sure. To quote the pilot of the Hiroshima bomber, Paul Tibbets said, "I saw the end to long wars. I saw the end to 1,000 airplane formations. One man is going to go out with an airplane and a crew and a weapon and do what 1,000 airplanes used to do."